All right, folks, welcome back into the Mancast again. This is episode 36. We are here to talk about some more NFL tonight, Monday night, the 6th of November. And currently the Chargers are playing the Jets, beating them 14-0. But before we get started on the NFL overall, I just want to briefly touch on my Chiefs. They've been saying for all this time, we've discussed it on this podcast before, that the Cowboys like to call themselves America's team. And as much as we've sort of, said that's a bunch of shit, I'm going to go ahead and just let them have that, because my team, the Chiefs, I'm going to call them the world's team. Much, much bigger than America's team. They are the world's team because let me ask you a question, just a quick trivia question, and then you can take over here, Ed. How many teams have won football games in 4 different countries?
One.
Oh, and who is that?
America's team, obviously. The Kansas City Chiefs.
The world's team, brother. The world's team.
Oh, and by the way, the only reason that Dallas got America's team is because the Green Bay Packers, Vince Lombardi, turned the moniker down. He didn't like it and he didn't want it. Tex Schramm, who was president of the Cowboys at the time, quickly raised his hand and said, "We'll take it," but that's not how it was supposed to go.
Here's to the world's team. Go Chiefs.
Go Jags. The Jags have a pretty good record over in Europe. I don't know if they've ever played in Mexico, but they were 2-0 this year. They stayed for 2 consecutive weeks and won both of them.
Absolutely. Mexico is that's the one that the Chiefs have on everybody else. So, but interesting turn of events there.
I'd rather be world's team too. But before we get going on this, it's interesting you bring up that So there is a movie about the rivalry. It's called, I forget the name of the movie now offhand, but it's a rivalry between Hunt and Lauder and IndyCar racing in the 1970s. It's a fantastic movie. Thor plays Hunt, James Hunt, Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth. The movie's brilliant. It's so well paced and it's so action packed with racing footage. But here's what people don't know. Other than soccer, the number one most viewed sport in the entire world is IndyCar racing.
That's crazy.
Well, take that back. Formula One racing.
Formula One.
IndyCar is different.
Yep.
So much so that it outpaces NASCAR 150-1.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So when they do their Grand Prix all around the world, like in Rio de Janeiro, over 5 million people show up live. It's complete insanity. When they show aerial photos of how many people are there, you're like, what is going on? It's insane. So yeah. I remember when I was a kid, it was a huge deal. So I looked it up to see what it was. And in 2022, it was a number 2 behind only soccer.
Well, yeah. And that's because, in these poor shithole countries, all they can do is watch car go around and, watch them go down the road. They don't even have big tracks, they just, there they go down the road,
I just think it's very interesting.
But they can kick a ball around the field. Good for you.
But the movie, and I'll remember it here before we get too far askew here, but it is absolutely fantastic, and I recommend anybody to watch it. So, at any rate, you were bringing up the Chiefs. Well, the Chiefs defense has been playing magnificently well. They shut down, statistically, the best offense in the NFL over this past weekend. Ironically, they stripped the ball that made the difference, that added the 7 points, that was the difference in the game, from Tyreek Hill, and returned it for a touchdown. Otherwise, that was a 14-14 deadlock. So that was the defense had a really good day. Pat Mahomes kind of pedestrian. I mean, his numbers in terms of efficiency were pretty good, but they didn't throw for a whole lot of yards. But I think it's also interesting, and it needs to be pointed out, that Miami is now currently 0-3 against the Bills, the Eagles, and the Chiefs, and have been outscored 100-51. So they better figure something out, or playoffs or not, they're going to get smoked. And another caveat with this too is while Tua's numbers don't look bad, Tua made some horrible throws that hurt his team bad in the fourth quarter. You don't have to throw interceptions. You can make lame ass throws and miss wide open guys and blow shit for your team. And we'll continue to talk about that when we move on to Dak Prescott a little later.
The Chiefs had him under duress
the whole time.
Day.
I get it.
He's just not used to that, and his line isn't great, and that's why he has such a quick release. And the Chiefs. I told my dad right before the game on Sunday. I said, he was like, "How do you feel about it?" I said, "I think the Chiefs win." And he's like, "Why?" And I said, "Because the Chiefs corners are so physical." I said, "I think the only way the Chiefs are going to be able to keep Miami from just absolutely going nuts on the scoreboard is to just, pound them right on the line, disrupt their, the flow of it right off the line, because that's that quick release. That whole thing is just get the ball to your playmakers and let them go. But if you can disrupt their movement right off the line, you have a chance." And that's exactly what they did. And we had Snead, I think, with Steve Spagnuolo being the defensive coordinator, and Snead being our number one, defensive back, and having multiple years of having Tyreek Hill on your team was a net positive for the Chiefs in figuring out how to combat him. Clearly, it worked out. So it kept him to his worst game of all season.
The trick there is pressure, and that's exactly. Philadelphia kept them under pressure the entire game and smoked them.
Not just pressure on the quarterback either, though. It's pressure on the receivers as well.
But what I'm saying is the Eagles kicked the shit out of them, and the Buffalo team even more so. And Buffalo's defense, nobody's raving about Buffalo's defense being one of the best in the NFL, and they went 48-20 and made Tua run for his life. Without, they don't have great defensive backs. I'm just saying that if you put Tua under duress, that he does not play very well. And you guys did a great job of doing that. You put him under duress.
Yeah. And especially if they have to play from behind, that's the number one killer on that team, because then they have to drop back. They have to make longer plays. They have to throw longer passes. They have to go for those. And if you can get them, Chris Sims pointed out, if you can get them to 3rd and 10, if you can get them to 3rd down, it's going to be a longer passing down.
But still, they're at the end of the game.
They can't take advantage of that quick release, But
anymore. Still, they're at the end of the game. It all falls on Tua, because Mossert in 2 runs had them all the way down to the 31-yard line, and then they entirely abandoned the running game from that point forward. It was just a mess. It was poor coaching, and it was bad play from their quarterback primarily. And that is going to as far as that goes with them. Same thing with Dallas against the Eagles. The Eagles went out of their way to lose that game. Literally handed them the game and said, "Fuck it, we don't want to win today, and we're not even going to try at this point." And Dallas still couldn't do anything with it. They go for when they need 2 scores, and there's still over 3 minutes on the clock. And what do they do instead? They go for a touchdown that comes up short. You take the guaranteed 3. Now you only need 8. Now they're still all the way behind. So they get the ball back in a short order, kick a field goal, and then get the ball back and still need to score those 8 points. The Philadelphia defense said, "You know what we're going to do? We are going to do blatant pass interference on their next 3 plays so that they literally get to the 5-yard line without gaining a single yard." Mm-hmm. And then what did Dak Prescott do? No. Let me show you how this gets done. He changes his cadence on the line and has his offensive line jump off sides. Then they have to move the ball back. Then he gets sacked 15 yards back behind the thing. Then he makes an errant pass that put him in a long range situation. And now they have to win. There's seconds on the clock, and it's 4th and 26 to win the game. They had no chance. Dak Prescott, I'll say it again, when you need that kid to step up and win, he is literally 100% incapable of doing that. He has never done it, not once in his entire career, and he has literally had dozens and dozens of chances. If he's not playing teams that are well beneath Dallas's talent level, it's almost a guarantee that they're going to lose.
Yeah. It does seem to be his MO. It never fails. Like you said, it's predictable as can be. Probably the most predictable thing in the NFL.
Before the Eagles flubbed the game and all but gave it away, when they needed a first down before they ended up getting the ball back inexplicably because Philadelphia decided that 3 running plays straight up the middle when there's still well over a minute on the clock is brilliant to do, and punted the ball away again. But on fourth down in that drive, the one before they completely fell apart, he had CeeDee Lamb open in the flat and threw it over his head. He can't do it. He can't. Dallas, and I'm going to say it, I've said this probably 4 times this year, will never win a championship as long as Dak Prescott is their quarterback. And if Dak Prescott leaves and gets paid another guaranteed $8 trillion by another team, they will never win a championship if he is their quarterback.
Well, you know who can do it? This man who got 30 of 42 for 470 yards and 5 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Oh, I watched that whole
Stroud.
game. What an unbelievable performance. Smashes all the rookie records in a single game, plays literally flawlessly, has a perfect Q score for the entire game. Incredible. There was nothing they could do to stop him. And his passes everything was dead on the money. He was remarkable. Now, unlike the talking heads from the alphabet soups, I don't believe that CJ Stroud is Jesus reincarnated as a football player. And while this performance obviously is historic, and I think he's going to work out, barring injury, to be an elite NFL quarterback with this small sample size. But it's not him throwing for 470 or 5 touchdowns. It is how calm and relaxed.
That's it.
It reminds me of Joe Montana. Nothing rattles this kid.
He's
nothing.
So cool. I've never seen a rookie be able to behave like that under any type of circumstance. And then like Baker Mayfield has a day himself, like puts up a damn good fight, and Stroud's like, so your numbers are pedestrian, bro. Your 300 yards don't mean nothing. Yeah, especially compared to 470. Holy shit balls, man! And he what for weapons? I mean, was he throwing a Tank Dell? Like that's the craziest part. He doesn't have any big name receivers either.
No, and got no running game. I mean,
no.
And they're 4-4.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But this kid's poise is just something that last rookie I saw that played with that poise, with that little a talent, was Andrew Luck.
Mm.
But to be fair, I'll take that back because Andrew Luck actually had a talented team, one that Peyton Manning just walked away from because he went to Denver and all the shoulder injuries. So they had a pretty good team. Not great, but pretty
okay.
Good. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you'd probably have to go all the way back to Peyton Manning, who was drafted by the Colts. And the year before he was drafted, I think they were 2-14.
Right.
So you may have to go that far back. And even Peyton Manning played nothing. He had the poise, but he played nothing like this kid is playing. Peyton Manning threw more interceptions than touchdowns in his rookie season. This kid has 14 touchdowns, 1 pick, no fumble turnovers, 1 turnover in his first 9 games, and is now, I think, the yardage leader or second in the behind Tua. I think he's now number 2 in total yards. I'd have to look that up, but I believe it.
That's Pat, actually, Mahomes, but
Maybe not after yesterday, because I know he was in the top 4 or 5, and he threw for 470 yards. So I'll just look that up quick. That'll be an interesting thing to find out.
Yeah,
NFL passing leaders
on the fly. I know. Cousins is like maybe second,
but he didn't even play this past week. So in total yards, Tua,
Cousins is second.
It's now. Does this take in yesterday's games? So it's Tua, Sam Howell, believe it or not, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, C.J. Stroud.
That's weird.
Yeah, this is right from NFL.com. Tua's got 2609. Sam Howell has 2471.
Mahomes is third. Allen's fourth. Yeah, so I was what I was looking at was from last week. Yeah.
So Cousins will continue to slide down, obviously, because he's not playing again this year. That's unfortunate.
He's done probably, at least for the season, if not for good. And, I think we saw the last time Daniel Jones starts as the number one quarterback for a team. I think as soon as he gets healthy and comes back, they'll move his ass aside, and he's going to be riding the pine.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with that guaranteed contract.
They're just going to have to eat the.
They're going to have to eat it. That's for sure.
He is not the guy, and it's time to move on.
Yeah, Danny Dimes.
No,
and that's what happens.
Dime store, Danny.
Well, this is right. That's changing, right? That's what happens when this is the problem in all of our society, but we're talking about sports right now, and football in particular, is that every week. So Josh Dobbs, as an example, like Danny Dimes, literally got let go by the Cardinals because, he wasn't traded. They just cut him because he wasn't doing anything for them. So he goes over to Minnesota. He plays really well in a game. He came in the second quarter, and he played well. Not great. Didn't do anything spectacular. And let's face it, it's not like Minnesota was playing some great team. They were playing the Falcons. And he got a W, right? Then all over CBS and ESPN and Fox and all these guys are all talking that Minnesota is not missing a beat, and they are a legitimate Super Bowl contender because an average to below average quarterback played average. The insanity of it, I just can't take. And this just goes to everybody wants to act like what's happening in this very moment is way it's going to stay forever. No.
Yeah. Have you heard his whole new nickname and everything? The Pastronaut.
Oh my.
Like they just always looking for anything for clickbait, man.
I can't take it anymore. Can everybody just calm down? I'm the biggest CJ Stroud fan that you'll find, and I'm like, look, a historical game. Come on, can we just pump the damn brakes? He's only played in 8 NFL football games.
Right.
Good Lord. But he has been remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the NFL, man. And he's playing on a bad football team.
Mm-hmm.
But if you watch him, though, the way he moves and shifts in that pocket, never gets flustered. Again, it's like watching a tall Joe Montana.
Yeah.
Because he's 6'3", and Montana lied and said he was 6 foot. And Joe Montana was not 6 foot tall. I think now, because of all the back injuries and knee injuries, I think he's 5'3" at this point. Did you see another one? Did you see the bizarre Deshaun Watson touchdown?
I don't guess I did.
So right around the 15-yard line, heading into the end zone, he throws a laser, hits dude right in the helmet, shoots off the helmet, and goes another 15 or 20 yards into the end zone where his guy catches it for a touchdown. It's just the weirdest thing. But Watson was fairly healthy yesterday and played pretty good. And the Browns played the Cards, but still, blanking any NFL team is not an easy trick. The defense played really well, and the offense finally got something going on. But they have to play, I think, the Ravens this week. So, I wouldn't hold out too much hope for that.
Speaking of the Ravens, 37-3, completely smashed the Seahawks.
But here's the bigger deal for me. First off, anybody can have a bad game. We've seen plenty of teams having. I'm not writing the Seahawks off because they had a bad game. But when I mean bad, they give up 298 yards rushing.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 300 yards in an NFL game rushing. Most NFL teams would take that over a 3-game period. They did it in one game.
37 points, and Lamar Jackson threw no touchdowns. 187 yards. He ran no touchdowns, and he had 60 yards running, but it's not like he
ran it efficiently. He did everything that he was asked to do, but it was the running game that was the show yesterday.
Crazy.
And if you had him in fantasy football, you're probably really pissed.
Yeah, but if you had Gus Edwards, you're pretty stoked.
So, and probably nobody had him either, because who the hell heard of him before yesterday, except for Ravens fans. So, just another really crazy thing to happen in the NFL. A professional football team giving up 298 yards. I looked it up, and the last time anybody was in that rare space was 7 years ago. So it's very unusual for that to happen. And it was the Saints who ran for exactly the same amount of yardage, 298 yards.
The Commanders decided to give up their 2 best defensive players, and then Belichick still can't beat them.
Well, here's the thing. The rookie that they got in the middle rounds played every bit as good as Chase Young, who he replaced.
Right.
So that was very helpful. Redskins got plenty of talent on that football team.
Depth, yeah.
And Sam Howell has been playing really good. He's young and he makes mistakes that he shouldn't make, but I wouldn't give – his is basically his rookie season. He played in 1 game last year, and he's number 2 in the NFL in total yardage as a quarterback.
Right.
Who's going to complain about that?
I just want to know what was the point in the Bears getting Montez Sweat so they can just keep losing?
Well, the Bears got to start somewhere, and they didn't pay a whole lot for him, a second-round pick. There's nobody they're picking in the second round next year that's going to be anywhere near the talent of Montez Sweat.
That's a valid point.
And they already re-signed him to a long-term contract.
Yeah, $98 million for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he's part of their rebuild. I think they're thinking they're going to rebuild around.
You got to start somewhere, especially I look at the Bears like a building. Like the Bears own the property to put the building on, but they don't have any of the materials. So that was their first load of bricks, but they got a long way to go. And what the Bears need is new ownership, a new front office, a new scouting, and a new coaching staff, and pretty much 90% of their players are changed out. And they should keep their quarterback, who I don't care what anybody says. Justin Fields can play. He just needs help. Yeah. And they have an anchor for their defense. I predict by the time Justin Fields is in his 37th to 38th year, the Chicago Bears will be ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, they'll be like the Sandusky Bears or something.
So, let's go through our games and our predictions for last week. Chad beat me by 2 this week, which has been his biggest scoring since he whooped my ass 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I completely turned everything back around. Now he's right on my coattails as we are vying for football prediction supremacy. So we both picked the Steelers over the Titans. First thing that I would say is that the organization and the coaching staff in Pittsburgh won't even allow a mediocre football team to be mediocre. They just continue to win. And good for them. I don't know how they keep doing it. Now, this notwithstanding. The Titans didn't play.
Crap.
Their Steelers are better than the Titans, but it looks like he wasn't as world beating as he was his first week. But Will Levis played really well.
Yeah.
For a rookie quarterback in his second start on the national stage, he did okay.
Not bad.
Not as good as his first week.
Definitely
but
not.
He didn't fall apart. He played well. The Finns versus the Chiefs, we've been over that. That's what you got me a one up on me. I thought that the problem for the Chiefs going into that, as I stated last week, was that they won't be able to score as many points. What I didn't take into consideration was that Tyreek Hill and the entire offense of Miami would shit the bed. But again, this is Miami's MO. They are like the Dallas Cowboys. They are the Dallas Cowboys of the AFC. They're really good against teams that have no business beating them. And then when they play teams that are top tier, they lose, period. Yep. They've only played 3 teams with a winning record, and they've lost to all of them.
There you go.
The Vikings and the Falcons. That was actually a pretty good game. The Falcons need a lot of help too. Josh Dobbs is not the answer for the Vikings, regardless of what all these morons are saying. He will. My guess is yesterday was the best you're ever going to see out of Josh Dobbs in the Minnesota Vikings uniform. And Kurt's not coming back. And I don't think he's ever coming back to Minnesota. I think Minnesota's going to let him go.
You never know, man. He was he's like in the top 20 for passing yards this season.
Yeah, but Minnesota's front office was already saying if he can't get them deeper into the playoffs this year, which obviously he can't, that they weren't going to retain him. He was on notice.
Yeah. Now they're going to try to move
on. Bears and the Saints. Saints won. That was kind of predictable. The Bears are a bad football team. Rams and the Packers. We both took the Rams in that one. All I can say about that is we knew Stafford was hurt. We didn't know how badly because we do this on Monday night. We don't have a whole week to make our predictions. If we had known for a fact that Stafford wasn't playing, we probably might have changed our minds about a thing or two.
What was the game that we said if their quarterback doesn't play, then we reserve the right to change it?
That game right there.
That's what I thought. So
then we're changing it. We're giving ourselves an extra win.
Go back and check the tape.
Absolutely say that. We said, and we will check the tape. But yeah, that was the game. We said that if Matt Stafford can't play, all bets are off.
Yeah, I reserve the right. And I was like, absolutely. Yeah.
Because without Matt Stafford, because I even made fun
of
the fact that their quarterback backup is Bryce Rippin. I didn't look into it, but I don't know if he's related to Mark Rippin.
Rippin.
It's probably. Oh, I did look him. No. He's Mark Rippin's nephew. So I should have known just from that alone they couldn't possibly win. The Skins and the Pats. I thought after they jettisoned their 2 best defensive players that the Patriots may be able to put some up. Here's the deal: Sam Howell played well. Mac Jones played like shit.
Yep.
That's why they won.
Yippers.
Hawks and the Ravens. There's been a lot of talk now, too. This is, again, so Josh Dobbs is now Peyton Manning, and Geno Smith is now Ryan Leaf, right?
Yeah.
They had a bad game.
One game, yeah.
Seattle is still tied for first place with the 49ers in their division. They're not going to just fall apart. And by the way, you can make the argument that they played the AFC's best team, or at least top team, with the Chiefs and the Jags. So they're one of they're top tier, and Seattle isn't top tier. They're a good football team. But if Seattle was in the AFC, they wouldn't have a winning record.
Correct.
Bucks and the Texans, that was the best game I saw. I will admit out loud, I watched every second of that game. In this room I'm currently recording this in, I have a very large screen TV right there against behind me. And it wasn't just the 470 yards or the 5 touchdowns. He drove his team 75 yards in 40 seconds, leaving 6 seconds on the clock to win the goddamn game.
That's big dog shit.
That's more. Dak Prescott gets paid literally 100,000 times more money than this kid and has never done that once in his goddamn career. It's just remarkable, right? I was thinking about this earlier today. Elite quarterbacks in the NFL, that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
They make the difference when it matters the most. Now, doing it once doesn't make you elite, and I wouldn't suggest that CJ Stroud is elite. Not yet. Pat Mahomes does this routinely. Tom Brady does this routinely, right? Joe Burrow in the NFL currently can do this routinely, and Aaron Rodgers has done this routinely. With the exception of those 3 guys, there's nobody that is currently playing in the NFL on any team. Jalen Hurts. We'll make it 4. Other than those 4 guys, how many guys, whether it's Josh Allen, whether it's Tua, I don't matter, Kirk Cousins, Herbert, it doesn't matter. Deshaun Watson, how many of these alleged elite quarterbacks have done something like this? Well, except for Hurts, Mahomes, Burrow,
the handful.
Rodgers, none of them.
The handful of them. Yep.
So to me, that's what separates winning championships from getting to the playoffs, even getting deep into the playoffs, but never getting over the hump.
Right.
Is not being able to do what that kid did as a rookie in his 8th game. 75 yards and 40 seconds.
It's fucking great, dude.
And I mean, lasers that he was throwing. His receivers weren't out there laying themselves out, making spectacular catches. He was dropping balls 30, 40 yard downfield, and the only spot they could possibly be called on a dead run. Yep. Just, wow, football yesterday from him. Yep. And I hope this continues, and I hope that him and Pat Mahomes in a couple of years are dog fighting it out, right? Or him and Burrow or whatever.
I'll take all of it.
I would say right now, if you're a Texans fan, you have to be extraordinarily excited about your future.
Hell yeah.
This is how you build a franchise that can win championships. It always starts with your quarterback, and you just drafted the best quarterback to come out of college since Joe Burrow.
And I think they're pretty stoked with their coach, with D'Amico Ryans. I think that the future's bright down there, man, for sure.
Just happy for that team. I'm happy for me being so correct about this kid's talent. And this was the very reason he should have been the number 1 pick. But the irony is, if he would have gone to the Panthers, they may actually be a worse team than the Texans in terms of overall talent.
Right.
So, because that
and coaching, honestly, I don't think Frank Reich makes a great head coach. Personally,
the irony is what I always said about Reich is Stroud is built he is the prototypical quarterback that Frank Reich would want. Sure. That's why I really thought he was going to go and take him.
And he should have.
But the pressure from the front office they screwed the pooch.
Big time.
Know? We got an Oompa Loompa to play quarterback. Congratulations. Next, we'll move on to the Cards and the Browns. The Cards are terrible.
Yeah.
And the Browns are really good. We'll see if Deshaun Watson can play to the level that he used to. I kept saying that he didn't forget how to play football, but staying healthy seems to be something that he's not very adept at. So when he is healthy, he's played okay. And he played okay yesterday. Mm-hmm. And he has, obviously, the talent to play extraordinary. But he needs to put that together because otherwise the Browns have all the talent in the world, but they may end up in 3rd or 4th place in their own division if they don't get something figured out. Although, to be fair, that AFC North is friggin' loaded.
Dude.
They can send 4 teams to the playoffs at this point. It's
well,
crazy.
yeah, because clearly I think the Bengals are the cream of the crop, but they got hindered by Burrow being injured there for a while and lost some games, and so everything's still pretty neck and neck. And man, what a bunch of powerhouses too.
Well, they are back in line now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're just. We'll get
the Bengals are. Look out.
Colts and the Panthers. About what you would have expected to happen. Colts have more talent than the Panthers. Just that simple. And Gardner Minshew, he's a second string quarterback. Sometimes he plays really good. Other times, meh. Yesterday was a pretty good game for him. The week before, where we thought he would win and they shit the bed, was because he played god awful.
Terrible. Yeah.
It's just the way that works sometimes. You brought up earlier about Danny Dimes. The Giants went to the playoffs last year. There is simply no excuse for what is happening with that organization right now and how poorly they're playing football. And even bigger, how Brian Daboll went from coach of the year to this shit. What the hell is going on in New York?
I will say that seems like every time a team fires their head coach in the middle of the season, and then they pluck some sort of like former player guy that's on the staff and move him into head coach, that they always kick ass.
Yeah, they rally, right? Because they knew that the coach was a large part of it. But Brian Daboll for the Giants last year was coach of the year.
I know.
Everybody predicted that the Giants would play 17 games and lose 20 last year. That's what everybody thought. And they went to the damn playoffs. And Brian Daboll was the reason why. But I'm telling you, man, the NFL is so different. You could have 100 years to figure out Nick Saban in college football, and you'll never do it. You give good defensive coaches and offensive coaches and a good coaching staff 1 year of film on a player or another coach and their philosophy, and they will smoke you the next year because now they know what to expect. Right. And that's what we're seeing happen to the Giants right now. They're just getting killed because nobody's fooled. Yep. Cowboys and the Eagles. I have this to say for the Cowboys fans. Oh my God, this is so predictable. It is the most predictable thing in football is that the Cowboys will shit the bed every single time. I was at my favorite establishment / watering hole watching this game with 2 very cool guys who are very, very Dallas fans. And they were harder on Dak Prescott than I was. They all know that it's true. And they were just admitting it out loud. I mean, they were literally like, oh, they knew the game was over because they knew that Prescott couldn't make it happen. And they were just making jokes of it and just having a good time with themselves. But it's true. Even lifelong Dallas fans no longer apparently are trying to kid themselves that they are going to win with Dak Prescott. You know who is kidding themselves? All the talking heads. That's who's kidding themselves. These guys are awesome. I watched and listened to some podcasts today, and listened to the Keyshawn Johnsons and the Skip Baylesses and the Shannons. I listened to all of them talk about how this isn't indicative, and Dallas is still a Super Bowl contender, and blah blah blah. I don't know why these people want the Cowboys. They so desperately want the Cowboys to win. I can't figure it out to save my life, other than maybe they all receive checks from Jerry Jones. I'm not sure. Because I would become a Dallas fan if somebody paid me to be a Dallas fan. You know, if Jerry Jones wanted to cut me a check for $10 million, I'd be the biggest Dallas fan in the world. And I'd defend them to my death, right? Because that at least makes a logical sense. It's the eye test. I don't care how much talent they have. I don't care what their statistics are. I don't care that they win 11 or 12 games or almost every year. I don't care. When it matters, they suck. They shit the bed. They blow it up. And Mike McCarthy made some horrible coaching decisions yesterday that were even worse than the way Dak Prescott played at the end of that game.
Well, I would say they're similar to our AFC Cowboys, which is the Chargers, essentially at this point.
I'd say it's the Dolphins, actually.
I see the Chargers always every year. Every year the Chargers, they're going to go the whole way this year.
It's only been going on for 30 years,
great.
Chad.
It never happens.
It goes all the way back to Marty Schottenheimer with the goddamn Chargers, man. Like, they're always going to be that team. They literally had one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for 15 friggin' years.
Yeah,
they couldn't get over the hump,
right?
And now and now they have another one of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL.
Well, and it was the same then too, where they had a phenomenal running back, they had phenomenal defense. Like they have
arguably one of the greatest tight ends in NFL history, and wideouts that could stretch the field, and Jesus, they had Ladainian and Tomlinson, for God's sake.
Yeah. And they had a hell of a defense too. They had guys like Junior Seau and stuff like that were just monsters, man. And never could get it done.
Nope. So, here's the difference. I feel sorry for the Chargers.
I don't. Fuck them.
Bills and the Bengals. You got me again on that one.
It was close.
Well, that was just. It was close. It was within a score. And Allen played well. Burrow played better. That's all.
Yeah.
And Burrow is on fire right now. That whole team's on fire. Burrow has an amazing wide receiver core. Joe Mixon is a legit top NFL running back. Yeah. Their defense is stout.
Yeah. It's a good team.
It's going to be very, 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 very interesting because they started the season 0-3, and now they're 5-3.
Yeah, and who's going to beat them right now?
Yeah, they're on fire. They're playing really good. Maybe the Ravens.
Yeah, we got to play them. The Chiefs got to play them towards the end of the season here, but gosh, they're stacked.
And of course, our last game is Chargers Jets. Where are we at on that? I am looking that up myself.
14-3.
Yep.
2-minute warning.
And 2 seconds is to the half.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. 2 seconds.
So, and the Chargers should win that game. They're, especially without Aaron Rodgers, man to man, they're a better football team. They just are.
Yeah.
Whether that translates into anything, you never know with the Chargers. That's their problem. And it's a shame because when Herbert, so you said about Dallas, the difference between the Chargers and Dallas over the years is the Chargers every year seem to suffer the most horrific injuries to their best goddamn players.
Well, and that is, they have the worst luck with injuries, man. Just the worst.
And they lost 2 of their starting wide receivers earlier this year, and defensive players, and now guys are starting to come back. But we'll see what happens overall with them. The Bills are a better football team than they're playing, and I think the biggest problem there overall is their offense is struggling. Like Kansas City's is from time to time. Neither one of them are struggling in total, but from time to time, and they both suffer. They're both suffering from the same thing. That for the Bills, all they have on offense is Stephon Diggs. That's it. And for Kansas City, it's Kelsey. And so, but we're halfway through the season, so. Championship football teams, or the better football teams, or the best teams in any sport, once you get past the mid-season mark is when the better teams really start to rise. So it'll be interesting to watch these teams moving forward. Both the Bengals, the Chiefs, and the Bills notoriously start slow, at least over the last few years. But we'll see what happens. Some of them are on fire right now. Right now, I wouldn't consider the Bills a team I'd be as concerned with if I was defending champs, which the Chiefs are in the AFC. I'd be more concerned with the Bengals and the Ravens right now.
Well, You want to talk about next week or this week? I mean, coming.
Absolutely, coming up. So
Week
Chad and I
2.
at the halfway point. I am 92 and 43. That will go up if the Chargers win one more win. And Chad is 91 and 44. So we are one game apart at the halfway mark. And we are both currently winning more than we are hitting it around 65% of our predictions. And we do this on Mondays when everybody doesn't predict until the day of the game when they know all the injury reports, who's playing, who's not. If we had all that information and we did this on a Sunday morning, my prediction is we'd be 10 points better than we currently are.
So I decided that I was going to use the last little bit of money that was in my little FanDuel sportsbook account, and I put my last $10 on Pat Mahomes getting 3+ touchdowns. So my betting on Mahomes or the Chiefs is done. So hopefully they'll be able to do better because my curse won't be there anymore. And yeah.
So my philosophy on betting on sports is never bet your own team.
It's always been my philosophy, but I broke that rule last week when I was telling you about, a couple of different bets I made that they shit the bed and lost the damn game. And one of them was just that every team in the NFL would score a touchdown, and mine was the only one that didn't, right? And I thought, I learned my lesson. I'll never do it again. And I thought, you know what? Who am I to say that I have some fucking power over this team, over these grown-ass men who make all this money, who dedicate their lives to this? And so I said, I'm going to do it again. This time, damn it, I'm going to win. And nope. Instead, I cursed Mahomes, and he only threw 2 touchdowns. Go figure.
Well, you didn't curse anybody. When you bet on your own team, you make emotional decisions and not logical ones. Because if you're going to, so anytime I've ever betted, emotional. I've never betted on my own team. Well, here's the truth. During the course of any regular season, Pat Mahomes will throw for 3 or more touchdowns, maybe 3 times. Because if he even throws for 40 touchdowns in a year, that's barely more than 2 a game.
He's gone 50 before, and if anybody's due for a 3 fucking touchdown game, it's him.
Well, as soon as he gets some wide receivers, that'll.
And I also thought it would be a very high scoring event, and so for me, it was a fairly logical. It wasn't even like a big winning. I wasn't gonna get a lot of money. The odds weren't, incredibly against me, and yeah, so it wasn't anything that outlandish in my mind.
That's why look. Sometimes take a flyer, right? I mean, I bet 2 weeks ago that Will Levis would throw for 4 touchdowns. I was dead on the money.
Fuck you.
All right. Next week's games. Get through this quickly. Then the game that nobody cares about, not even their own fans.
Not going to watch it.
Panthers versus the Bears. I don't even know who the hell to choose here because they're just both so god-awful. The Bears are at home. Maybe it'll be chilly and that'll give them some kind of an advantage. I just can't imagine either one of these teams doing anything. So I got to pick somebody. I don't know why, but I'm going with the Panthers.
I'm going with the Panthers as well. I actually think the Panthers could get a win here. And I think the Bears are just trash.
They are. They're trash. The Colts and the Pats. I'm going with the Colts. And the Pats, they had one good game all year. One good game all year. That's all I've seen out of the Pats. That's it. One good game. And against the Redskins, who, by the way, gave up their 2 best defensive players, and Mac Jones was still shit. Yep. Browns and the Ravens. Talk about a good football game. Ravens.
Ravens. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a nasty football game. They hate each other. They're division rivals. But the Ravens are at home, and they just simply have the better offense currently. They just do.
Right.
Packers and the Steelers. I'm taking Steelers all day long on that.
Yipper. I don't see how you would be foolish enough not to. I mean, obviously anything can happen, but Steelers are definitely far and away the better
team. Simply the better football team.
Yep.
Even in the Packers one yesterday, Jordan Love was pedestrian. I mean, it wasn't anything to write home about. And the Steelers defense is far superior. So 49ers, Jags, this is an interesting football game. The Jags are playing great, and they just had a week off. So they're going to be super healthy. And so are the Niners because they had a week off. I don't even know how that happened. But I'll say this. The Jags are at home. And if I'm putting my money on a quarterback, I'm putting my money on Trevor Lawrence and not Brock Purdy. So I'm going Jags.
Yeah, I'm also... Yeah, I'm going to have to go Jags here. I do. I think they're better. I think that there's more firepower on that 49ers team, but like you said, quarterback. Yeah.
Here's the deal. If the 49ers have the lead going into the fourth quarter, they have a real shot at winning that game.
Mm-hmm.
But Brock Purdy's 0 for everything if he's losing going into the fourth quarter.
Right.
And the Jags are every bit as good, even when Brock Purdy's playing well. They're every bit as good as any team in the league. They're a good football team. They deserve to be in that upper tier now. They've proven themselves this year. They have big victories against good football teams.
Well, and that's a 1:00 game in Jacksonville.
Yep.
And that means 49ers have to come all the way over there. So I'm gonna give the Jags the edge.
Saints and the Vikings, and a game that I don't care about. Josh, my prediction is that Josh Dobbs will turn into Josh Dobbs. And Jefferson, in all honesty, still isn't healthy.
No.
And Addison is playing terrific football, but Derek Carr's a much better quarterback. The Saints are 5-3, I believe now. So I'm going with the Saints in this one.
I am as well.
And they're both indoor teams too, so this isn't.
Yep. Both 5-4. Yep, I'm going with Saints here too.
Texans and the Bengals. Well, I love that kid, C.J. Stroud, but the Texans aren't beating the Bengals.
Especially not in Paul Brown.
They show up, and the game will probably be closer than you would expect, but they're not winning.
Yeah, especially not in Paul Brown Stadium too.
Right. And it's the Midwest. Next week, the weather there could be shit. You don't even know. Titans Bucks. That's an interesting game. I really like what Will Levis is doing, but I have to say, I really like what Baker Mayfield's been doing this year too. The Bucks didn't get blown out by a guy who threw for 5 touchdown passes and 470 yards. They lost by 2 points.
Yep.
That was a great game. Probably the best one all season if you like watching people score points, which I do. This is I'm taking the Titans.
Look at you.
And the reason I'm taking the Titans is because the one thing I know that the Titans can establish on the Bucs is a running game with Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they played really well against the Steelers. And the Steelers are much better than the Bucs. So, I'm going to Titans.
I am, just because this is kind of one of those 50-50s. I think I'm going to go Bucks, and also because it's in Tampa. Give them a slight edge there, so I'm going to take the Bucks.
All right. Then we got the Lions Chargers. Very interesting game there too.
Mm-hmm.
Lions got to go across country.
Yep.
They're playing very well. They're leading their division. It is 17-3 now. With 2 seconds left, they must have kicked a field goal because it was 14-3. The Chargers, man, this is one of those things. We make these predictions so early. Like, the Lions are just a team that I like. They're playing really good. I know they're on the road, and this looks like a potential pratfall for them. But the Chargers have a way of getting in their own way when they need it. I'm going Lions in this one.
I am too. Lions coming off a bye week, extra time to get ready.
And again, the Lions are no joke. I mean, we talked about it in the beginning of the year. We both thought that they're going to win their division and go into the playoffs and do well this year. So, and the Chargers have not been playing particularly well this season.
Lions are 6-2. Chargers are 3-4. So, if schedule means anything,
right? 4-4, but 6-2 after 8 games is more than respectable.
Right.
Falcons and the Cardinals in a game that no one gives a shit about, but would probably rather watch than the Panthers and the Bears. I mean the Falcons all day. The Cards are just terrible.
Yeah, you got to take Falcons here.
Which probably means the Falcons will lose. For the game they can possibly win, they'll probably choke it up. Giants and Cowboys, I don't care how bad Dak Prescott plays, they're unbeat the Giants.
Yeah, you got to go with the Cowboys here.
I mean, it's just silly. The truth is they should have beat Philly yesterday. They simply didn't beat Philadelphia for one reason only, because they're the Cowboys. They outgained them by 100 yards, and they were gift wrapped potential. They were gift wrapped 10 points or more in the last minutes of that game, and they only came up with 3 of the 10 that were handed to them. It's just insane. Skins and the Seahawks, Washington is just this enigma this year. Like, when you expect them to win, they shit the bed. When you expect them to lose, they come up big. It's so weird. But they're going all the way across the country, and they're playing a team that just got humiliated. I'm going with the Seahawks.
Seahawks it is for me as well. Seahawks are going to be licking their wounds and wanting to get back in there and prove themselves again and shut the naysayers down. So I think they're going to come out hungry and at home. And, I think they'll handle the Commanders.
Jets and the Raiders. This is an interesting game, too.
It's a tough one. Yeah,
it really is, because the Raiders seem to be re-energized. But the Jets have Zach Wilson. The Jets defense is better. That's for sure. And offensively, Zach Wilson can either play great or play dog shit. You never know what you're going to get out of that kid. We're going to find out what he's doing right now to see what kind of dog shit he's already in. But generally speaking, you never know what you're getting. So I'm going to quick look at where he is at in this game. So Zach Wilson is 15-24 for 112 yards. It's not terrible.
Right.
It's
really not that bad, but
I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. I'm going to go. I don't know why I'm going with the Jets.
So I was really going to go with the Jets too, but I thought this could go either way. I could totally see the shine wearing off of, the Raiders getting that big win for their interim coach. And getting rid of fucking McDumbass. I guess McDumbass was trending today on Twitter. I saw a video of Max Crosby and several other players smoking stogies in the locker room after their win, like it was the damn Super Bowl. And I saw a video clip of Devontae Adams with a, a little basketball goal, and he's shooting, and everything just seemed really jovial and lighthearted, and everybody seemed really happy. And I think Mike McDaniels was a shithead and not very well liked by the team, and I think they're really stoked to see him go. And they probably, I think they could keep that momentum going one more game in Las Vegas. So I think I'm going to go with the Raiders here. That's my logic.
Well, it's not bad. I love Max Crosby.
That fucking guy, he got 13 hours worth of tattooing done by 5 people at once. He was like fully under, and they just did a whole 5-person 13-hour fucking tattoo fest on his body. And he woke up and he's like, cool. What the fuck?
Jesus.
Anyway, Broncos, Bills.
Well, the Bills are going to get real healthy in a real hurry.
Mm-hmm.
And they're at home.
Get right game in Buffalo. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the Broncos aren't playing the Chiefs here.
Speaking of who is playing the Chiefs, though, not this coming week because Chiefs have a bye, but that same team that they're playing when they get off the bye is the Eagles, and the Eagles get a bye too. So both those teams are going to be week off, fully fresh and loaded, ready to go at it in Arrowhead, I believe on the 20th. And man, I'm excited for that rematch of the Super Bowl, of last year's Super Bowl, and the prequel to this year's Super Bowl. So
yeah, well, that's your prediction. And currently, the way things are going, at least on the Eagles side, I mean, they got to be far and away the odds-on favorite. Right now, the Chiefs are with the Ravens and the Bengals and the Jags. There's a lot going on there, and for me,
not according to Vegas.
But you're talking about 7-1 or to 8-1. But the Eagles are like way ahead of everybody in the NFC, like double, triple, quadruple what San Francisco's at. That's the Chiefs, and I don't know. Did Vegas changes their odds every week depending upon what's going on in the NFL?
Chiefs are favorites.
Okay, but so what's the betting line on them as compared to, say, the Ravens?
So Chiefs are plus 450, Philly is plus 500. San Francisco's plus 6, and Baltimore is plus 900. Dallas is plus 11. So Dallas is above Miami, Cincinnati, and Detroit, and Buffalo, and Jacksonville. That's so stupid.
Well, right.
Nonetheless, the Chiefs are on the top. So,
well, yeah.
Chiefs, Philly, San Fran. Yeah.
That was the beginning of the year. That's not. That's where they were at the beginning.
Still the same.
No way because you didn't even name the Ravens, right? There's no way the Ravens.
No, I did. They were number 4, I think. So
you had Dallas at like number 5.
Future odds.
Current Super Bowl odds.
Here's a summary from DraftKings Sportsbook. KC Chiefs, SF 49ers, Phi Eagles, Mia Dolphins.
Yep. So this is from the beginning of the season. They have San Francisco number 2 on Sportsbook, then Philly, then the Dolphins, then the Cowboys, then the Lions, then the Bengals, then the Ravens.
So this is updated November 6th. So today. And it's Chiefs, Eagles, Niners, Ravens, Cowboys, Dolphins.
There you go. No, I'm not surprised that the Chiefs are at the top. I mean, they're defending Super Bowl champions, and they're 7-2.
Yes.
But these are all, for the top teams, they're all very closely lumped together. Then and how Dallas is even in that top 5, I have no idea. They're 5-3, and they haven't beat anybody that's worth a damn, and they've lost to the fucking Cardinals. They only win the half all year. So, but
Strange.
they're not always right in Vegas. So,
well,
time to wrap up our show, and thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Subscribe and comment and like and all the stuff that needs to be done so that we can feed our families and not die. We appreciate it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I had another great week of football and another one coming up. So until next week, everybody.
Peace out.
Out.